Hello and welcome back to the Wasteland, everybody. Welcome back to Fallout 3, where today we're going to be taking a look at the sawed-off shotgun, another iconic weapon in Fallout's history, and just kind of an iconic weapon in post-apocalyptic situations wherever you go. So the sawed-off shotgun is more than likely going to be the first shotgun that you get access to in Fallout 3. That can vary because there are places where you can get a combat shotgun very early on, especially if you know where to go. So the combat shotgun might sort of just pop up before you get access to a sawed-off shotgun, but sawed-off shotguns I feel like are more common in the early game, whereas combat shotguns are more common in the mid to late game. So the sawed-off shotgun in Fallout 3 is probably the most fair shotgun in the game, and I'll explain why. So let's go over the stats first and then kind of talk about why shotguns are sort of nuts in this game. So the shotgun does 50 damage over its pellets. So assuming that you hit with all the pellets, you're going to do about 50 damage, not accounting for perks or gun skill or anything like that. But the base damage is 50, which is pretty good. This has 113 damage per second, which is a little bit strange since you usually have to fire this twice and then you're going to have to reload it after every 2 shots. But you can shoot it out pretty quick. This has a big old 0 for crit chance, and it has a big old 0 for crit damage. That is the main reason why this one is the most fair shotgun, because shotguns in Fallout 3 do not scale like they do in all the other Fallout games. The way that shotguns scale in Fallout 3 is that the crit damage applies to every pellet that you hit with. So in Fallout 3, you generally shoot out 9 pellets from the shotguns, or most shotgun-style weapons, and that makes it so crits stack on every single one of those, and generally the crit damage is whatever your base damage is. And that's combined total of the pellets. So with the sawed-off shotgun doing 50 damage, then that makes it so every pellet should do an additional 50 damage on a crit that hits. Unless it's a sneak crit, in which case then it's doubled. But since the sawed-off shotgun can't hit crits, no matter even if they're sneak crits, you won't get any extra damage. It does actually make the shotgun incredibly fair as opposed to the combat shotgun, which does not have this limitation on it, which makes it so that gun is insane. And this gun is perfectly balanced. This costs 37 action points to use in VATS. Quite a bit of action points, and shotguns aren't always the best to be using in VATS, but if you like using it, then go for it. This has a big old 7 for spread, which makes it so its spread is very wide. This one has a magazine of 2, as you would imagine. It has 2 barrels. You load 2 shells into it. This weighs 6 weight, which is really heavy for a sawed-off shotgun. I don't know why it weighs that much, but okay. It's not as bad as like Fallout 4's weights, but alright. And this one has a total health of 167 shells before you would need to repair it, before it breaks. That's pretty good since the sawed-off shotgun does not go through ammo very quick, since you're limited to the 2 shots and then you have to reload. So this thing breaking is not going to be such a big deal, and sawed-off shotguns aren't super hard to find in the early game. For the pros of the sawed-off shotgun and its unique variant, this one is an early game weapon, so getting it early on is pretty good. This has good ammo. Shotgun shells are not very difficult to find in Fallout 3, and it's only competing with this, the double barrel, or the full-size double barrel, and the combat shotgun for guns that are using that ammo, so that's kind of nice. And this is pretty good for the early game damage. The damage is pretty good. The cons to this one, though, is that it is the worst of all the shotguns, simply because it can't crit. And the other shotguns are insane because they can crit. So that's going to be a major con to this one. It also has really bad spread. At anything besides close range, the double barrel is not going to be very reliable, which makes sense. It should only be useful at very close range. For an overall rating for the sawed-off double barrel, I'd put this one into C tier. It's an okay gun that works fairly well in Fallout, and it is pretty fairly balanced. There is a unique version of it, though. Let's talk about that. This one is called the Kneecapper. You get this one from a guy named Ronald. You can find him at pretty much the lower right-hand corner of the map, where he and Sierra are the only 2 residents of this little town, and you can steal this off of him by reverse pickpocketing him. So if you pickpocket him, take his shotgun shells away, wait outside or wait inside depending on where he goes, then pickpocket him again, then you can get the Kneecapper. You could also kill him to take it, but I don't know if it would really be worth it in terms of the gun usefulness, because this isn't really one of like the go-to guns. You're probably going to get this because you just really like the sawed-off shotgun. So the Kneecapper does 75 damage, quite a bit more than the regular sawed-off shotgun. This one has 141 damage per second because it does do more damage per shot. This one still has a big old 0 for crits, a big old 0 for the crit damage, so you can't hit crits with this one either. This costs 37 action points, so quite a lot to use in VATS. This one has a spread of only 4, which isn't as bad as the sawed-off shotgun at 7. This one is about twice or almost twice as small spread, which is good. Makes it so medium range is a little bit more effective with this one. This one still holds 2 rounds in it. This one weighs 5 weight, so it is slightly less weight than a regular sawed-off shotgun. And this one, for some reason, has lower health, where it can only fire 111 rounds before it actually breaks. So you might need to fix this one up a little bit more if you want to go and get it. This one's an overall upgrade from the sawed-off shotgun and a pretty decent pistol or close-range engagement weapon, like you would kind of want a sawed-off shotgun to be. This one I'd put up into B tier. I think this one's pretty decent overall. If you want to rush it, you absolutely can, and it's not super hard to get, assuming that you either have stealth boys or you have a decent amount of sneak, or both. Tell me your thoughts on the sawed-off shotgun in Fallout 3. I'd love to hear it. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye-bye, everybody.